This is Luke Worth with Metal Arc Chainsaw Carving. This is going to be a series of videos that explains the chainsaw carving process. Now, I'm going to assume that you have some basic tools, that you understand safety precautions with chainsaws and power tools. That's not what this video is about. It's about the chainsaw carving process. This specific chainsaw carving is going to be a little bit more complex. It's not a beginner level chainsaw carving. That doesn't matter. The process remains the same. I'm going to assume that you've established a design. Now, it's probably obvious, but some people it isn't obvious. I'll explain that if you're going to come up with a design, you can obviously just do it out of your head. That's one way. Or you can look it up, do a Google search. Might suggest, if you're a beginner, to look up chainsaw carving patterns, where it could show you a cut pattern, which cuts in which order, to make and where. That's a really good starting place. And then other option is using ChatGPT. So if you type in ChatGPT, hey, give me a chainsaw carved bear that's 5 foot tall, it'll spit out a design for you, and you could ask for a side picture, a back picture. So that might make it a lot easier for you actually embracing AI in this process, if you're not really one of those people that can just design things. After you've established your design, the second step is finding your log. So there's different types of wood. Different carvers use different types of wood, redwood, cedar. Around here in Wisconsin, I see a lot of people using white pine. I think partially because it's abundant, it's large, it's soft, it's a clearer wood, so there's less knots in it, and it's more of a production type wood to carve out of because it's fast. So in my case, I use whatever's best for the client. This specific carving is very detailed, so I'm going to use ash. Now, ash is a hardwood, and it holds the details better, in my opinion. If I carve something extremely detailed out of pine, there's a higher chance that little pieces will break off. That's just my opinion. That's my experience. You can have your own opinion. So after you've selected your log, you want to buck the bottom. Now, bucking the bottom just basically means, taking that log and cutting it. I cut this log in half. There's 2 logs there. Cut it right in half. But you want to make sure it's nice, straight, and it's level. You don't want it curved. You don't want it rocking when it's standing up. And like me, I'm always in a hurry, or I usually am. So what I used to do is just cut it, and then I'd shim it up and stuff. And it's like, then I'd get the carving all done. It'd be beautiful. And then I'd tilt it on its back again so I could clean up the bottom after this thing is carved. That does not make sense. I've done it so many times. And then you lean it over and break something off on it. It's not worth it. So just get the bottom fixed nice and level right off the bat. After you get a cut, what I usually do is when I get my logs delivered, I cut a bunch of them at the same time, and then I put sealer on the bottom. I put 2 coats on so that once I get it up, I don't have to lean it over again at all. So that, to me, is the best way to do it. The next step is taking the bark off. So there's 3 reasons why you're going to want to take the bark off before you get started. So reason 1 is you're going to want to identify different risks in this piece of wood. So in this case, if I'm carving a face on this log, well, I surely would want to know if there's some soft, rotten spot in here, or there's a bug hole, but I wouldn't have known that if I would have just left the bark on. It's kind of like a piece of paper. If you're going to paint on it, right, you don't just paint on a log. You go buy the paper from the store, so that's your base substrate. It's the paper. My base substrate is a log that the sides are shaved off, all the bark shaved off. It's a really good starting point. Another reason why you want to shave it off is so you can, I do some carvings on my head, some I don't, some I look at pictures. In that case, I'm going to want to probably draw on here. You can put your iPad or your iPhone right here, or even a picture printed off, and you can look at that too. But for me, it's just easier just to mark it up right on the actual log, because then your phone and everything else isn't getting full of sawdust, and then pretty soon the charging port's full. It's just a real pain in the rear. So I would just draw it on there. And so you can use a paint marker, a crayon, a pencil, whatever works best for you. And then, I like to keep my work area semi-clean. It never actually looks clean because you're a chainsaw carver, right? But what I've been doing, so this is probably once you've, become a little more established, maybe, I don't know. But if you've got a forklift or a skid loader, something to move stuff around, I like to put all my stuff in these totes so that I'm not sitting here trying to, burn this stuff all day long. I used to sit out here with a fire going all day long. Then the wind would turn, it gets sucked into my mask, all the smoke, and be sitting here gagging, Or I would, have to move it down to the backyard and burn it. And you're just adding more time. It's wasted energy. So I put my stuff right inside these totes, and then I put these totes up for sale. So people come pick it up, and I get paid for it. It makes a lot more sense to me driving around wasting diesel fuel in my skid loader. Dust I put in a separate container too. So, and that's completely up to you, but you know, that's just what I do. So,
okay,
all right,
let's
that
go.
wraps up this first part of the series. Thanks.